He thought I was still his secretary. 5 years after our divorce, my ex-husband came crawling back, demanding I fix his problem. But when I did exactly what he asked, it cost him thousands, and the best part, he brought it all on himself. If you've ever had someone take you for granted or treat you like you were disposable, you're going to love this story. Hit that like button, subscribe if you crave sweet justice, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying cases of petty revenge you'll hear today. 17 years. That's how long I was married to a man who prided himself on being old-fashioned. To him that meant he earned the paycheck and I did everything else. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I wasn't just a wife, I was his secretary, his house manager, his calendar, his reminder app. If his mother's birthday card got signed, it was because I bought it, wrote it, and even reminded him when to hand it over. Dentist appointments, doctor's checkups, oil changes, you name it, I scheduled it. First, I told myself this was teamwork. He worked long hours and I kept life running smoothly. But over time, that teamwork started to feel more like servitude. He never thanked me. He never acknowledged the invisible mental load I carried. And when I tried to bring it up, he'd scoff. What's the big deal? You're just making some phone calls. That was his attitude, like my efforts didn't even exist. The resentment built quietly. And after nearly 2 decades of carrying a man who refused to meet me halfway, I reached a breaking point. The marriage ended. I walked away. And for the first time in 17 years, he had to figure out how to function without his personal assistant disguised as a wife. Fast forward 5 years. I had my own life, my own rhythm, and not a thought spared for my ex-husband. Until one day the phone rang. It was him. His tone. Already irritated, like I'd done something wrong just by existing. He wasted no time getting to the point. They won't take you off the insurance unless you call. You need to fix this right away. Insurance. Apparently, he'd never removed my name from his home and auto policies. 5 years after the divorce, I was still listed. And now, suddenly, it was my responsibility to clean up his mess. I brushed it off, but then the calls kept coming. Every single. Each one nastier than the last. You're creating problems for me. You have to do this now. Why are you dragging your feet? The entitlement dripped through the phone line. He wasn't asking. He was commanding me, just like in our marriage. And each call yanked me back to those years of being his unpaid secretary, drowning in invisible work. Only now, I wasn't his wife anymore. By the 7th day of his harassment, I'd had enough. My hands were literally trembling with anger as I hung up on him. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, that old familiar mix of frustration and humiliation rising in my chest. But then, a thought hit me. What if I did call the insurance company? Not for him. Not because he ordered me to. But because I was curious. So I picked up the phone. The agent on the other end was polite. Cheerful even. She pulled up the policy and said something that made my blood boil and my lips curl into a grin all at once. We absolutely would have removed you if he had asked. There's no record of him ever calling us. Oh really? So all those angry phone calls accusing me of creating a problem, they were nothing but lies. But then the agent leaned in with a little extra piece of information, like fate itself had handed me a gift. Just so you know, moving him from married to single is going to raise his rate considerably. Are you sure this is what he wants? I could practically feel the universe winking at me. I laughed loud. Oh yes, very important. In fact, I haven't lived there for 5 years, so his policy should really reflect that. The agent chuckled with me. And just like that, my ex-husband's precious emergency was about to cost him big time. Not just a bump in his rates, but a massive backdated bill. All because he insisted I handle it. I hung up the phone with a smile so wide my cheeks hurt. For once, I hadn't been his secretary. I hadn't been his cleanup crew. I'd simply given him exactly what he asked for. And it came with a price tag he never saw coming. Did I feel guilty? Not for a second. He had 5 whole years to pick up the phone himself. 5 years to fix his own mess. Instead, he barked orders at me like I was still chained to his to-do list. So no, I didn't lose sleep. If anything, I slept better that night than I had in a long time. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't plotting some elaborate scheme. Sometimes it's just stepping back and letting someone trip over their own arrogance. Picture this. My ex, smug and demanding all week, finally checking his mail to find a fat bill waiting for him. The sudden spike in his premiums. The realization that his little favor cost him a fortune. All because he underestimated me one last time. I wasn't there to see his face, but oh, I can imagine it. The red flush of anger, the phone in his hand, maybe even dialing my number again before slamming it down when he remembered he had no one left to boss around. That's the thing about people who take you for granted. They only realize your worth when you're gone. Sometimes karma doesn't need our help. Just needs a little nudge. For me, that nudge was one phone call. And in the end, my ex-husband got exactly what he deserved. The full weight of all the work he used to dump on me, landing squarely on his own shoulders. If this story gave you chills or made you laugh, smash that like button and share it with someone who loves seeing karma in action. And tell me in the comments, what's the pettiest but most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that prove one simple truth. Justice always finds a way.